Hi folks, my name is Jeremy Stretch, and in this video we're going to be looking at the new modules feature coming up in NetBox 3.2. So real quick, what is a module? Well, here's an example of a chassis-based switch called this is a Juniper EX9208. You notice that the switch itself is an 8U high chassis. It has 8 field-replaceable module slots within it. So the bottom 2 are supervisor control modules, and the slots above it, 0 through 6, are for line cards. For a long time, people have been struggling to model this in NetBox. Oftentimes, people will try to use like device bays, which are intended to represent something different. So that's more for child devices that have their own control and management planes. Whereas a chassis-based switch is really just, it's one device, one control plane. It just has field swappable interfaces and other components in it. So the modules feature is intended to address that. So it'll provides a mechanism for you to model modules, or typically we'll refer to them as like line cards or something of that nature, which each have their own components on them that can be swapped in and out of a parent device. So let's take a look at how we do that in NetBox 3.2. One quick caveat, I am running the version 3.2 beta 1 release right now. So the final product, if you're watching this at a later date, might look a little bit different, but the core functionality should be the same. So let's start off by adding a device type for this. I'm actually going to create the switch that we were just looking at, a Juniper EX9208. So we'll do that. I believe it's 8U high. The 08 in the model name actually derives from the number of bays in it, not the physical chassis height. That's just coincidental. Okay, that should be good. All right, so this is my device type, which then I can instantiate as individual devices within NetBox. I don't have anything else on there yet. So my first step is to add module bays. So these are going to represent the modules in which, the bays in which those modules that we saw, all of these individual line cards here, are going to get installed. I'm going to ignore the supervisor stuff for now, because there's a little bit of nuance around how those should be handled. So I'm just going to focus on the line cards right now. You'll notice the line cards that are labeled in gray here on the side actually are numbered 0 through 5. So I'm going to create module bays 0 through 5. To do that, I'm going to specify a range for the name and for the position. I'm going to ignore the label for now. You do have the option of adding a separate like human-friendly label there. I don't think we really need to in this case. Okay, so now I've got my 6 bays, 0 through 5, defined on my device type. So now when I go to instantiate this device, those will be populated. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'll add, we're just going to call this now switch 1. Doesn't really matter what it is. And we're going to find EX9208. Okay, pick a site and create. Okay, so now I have my devices instantiated with module bays. You'll notice that when I created the device bays, I specified a position. The position can be used to automatically rename components that are templatized on a module type, which we'll get to next, when they're installed on the device. So I want to point that out. So if I'm installing a module in bay 0, it knows that its position is 0. If it's going in bay 4, it knows its position is 4. This is an integer in this case. It's just an arbitrary string though, so you can use whatever value you'd like. Now I need a module type. So a module type works just like a device type. It holds templatized components, typically interfaces, that can be then instantiated on actual devices or actual modules. So let's do that. I have the option of course, defining one, manually, or I can go over to the NetBox device type library. This was recently expanded to include module types. So it's been around for a number of years. So this is just a convenient community sourced library that has hundreds, I think thousands now, of definitions of different hardware models, just have been curated for easy import into NetBox. So these are all the device types. We've started adding module types now as well in preparation for the upcoming 3.2 release. So I'm going to go under the Juniper manufacturer here and pick up this module type that I submitted recently. And this is just a line card definition for a 32 port 10 gig line card for an EX9200 series switch. You'll notice that the definitions here Well, let me go ahead and copy this real quick. So I'm just going to copy this out of the device type, of the device type library, go back to the NetBox UI, go to import, and then just dump that code directly into there. Okay, now I have a new module type. So here's my module type. My model number is -32XS as we expect. And then you can see on the module type, I have 32 interfaces defined. Now notice that the names of each of these interfaces has the string module in there, right? This is a string that's going to it serves as a placeholder that's going to be replaced once we install this module into a device, or rather once we instantiate this module type as a module in a device. All right, so remember we talked about the position value. The position is going to go where the string module appears within those braces. All right, so let's go back to our device, which I believe I called it switch 1. Yep. Okay, so we go to our module bays, and then we say I want to install. Let's put it in bay 3. Okay, I'm going to install a module in this switch now. So the module type, and I can filter this by manufacturer if I want. I only have one defined, of course. So I'm going to select my the device that's going into, the module bay on that device, and the type of module that I'm installing. And optionally, I can assign a serial number and asset tag while I'm doing that. And then we have a checkbox down here that by default it's going to be enabled that says whether or not we want to replicate the components automatically from that device type. In this case, we do. If we already had interfaces defined, like if we were migrating from a prior release and we already had the interfaces defined, we don't want to duplicate those, we can go ahead and uncheck that. But in this case, it's brand new, so we want to replicate the interfaces that are defined on that module type. So we'll hit create. There we go. So now we're looking at module bays, and we've got bay 3, installed module in position 3. We can remove that if we need to. And notice that we have interfaces that have automatically been populated. And check out the name, right? Remember the template content had xe dash the string module in braces. Well, it's been replaced with a position that was learned from the module bay into which we install the module. So this is just a convenient function of employing modules in NetBox that will automatically rename these interfaces for you. So now we've got all of the interfaces, and we can even tell, I believe we have in the table here, if we look at module, yep, we can add a module, or we can even add the module bay column. Let's do that. Let's get rid of some of the other stuff. So we're not trying to squeeze too much on screen here. And then if we look at the last column, we see that this is linked to a specific module and a specific bay. Let me go back, I'll add that module column. So we can see that this interface, this component, belongs to this module, this specific module in this specific bay. And if we go back and delete that module now, all those interfaces will come out too. We see how that works. And that takes just a second because of the change logging that's happening on the back end. So there we go. Our module has been removed, and so have the interfaces. Hopefully this video has been informative and enjoyable for you. Keep an eye out for additional videos we'll keep doing leading up to the final release of NetBox version 3.2. So until next time, thanks for watching.